Alright, hello Guild Wars 2 gamers. Today is Wednesday, October 1st, and we've got some unexpected Guild Wars 2 news today that we need to cover. A lot of folks have been linking me this, so let's see what it is. Combining raids and strike missions in 2026. Hey folks, this is Brian Yarrow, Combat Systems Lead on Guild Wars 2. I'm here to talk to you about something really exciting that's coming with the first major update to Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity early next year. Alright, quick pause. First major update does not mean with the launch of the game. I believe that means it's going to come out with the first big patch that's 3 months after the launch of the game. I will change that if I hear differently. As we announced in July, we're merging the strike mission and the raid game modes into a single game mode, which will just be called raids. We'll be releasing another blog on this topic in the coming months with more granular details, but today I want to focus on why we're doing this and how we got there. So let's do a really quick pause. For new players to Guild Wars 2, if you don't know what this is, raids are similar to raids in most other MMOs. You go in, there's a bit of story, there's trash mobs, and there'll be, sometimes like trash mobs boss, trash mobs boss, trash mobs boss, and then you're done. In Guild Wars 2, there's currently 8 raid wings. Each one is different, unique in its own way, and each one has a story attached to it. The strike missions is more like you go into a room, and there is a boss that was really major at a certain point in the story. And you fight it again, but now it's scaled for 10-man. Strikes are easier than raids, and they give good rewards every day. Raids give better rewards, but only once a week. Strikes were supposed to be kind of like an entry point into raids, because they are 10-man content, and they are easier than most raids, and you can do them, and then go into raids and work your way up the ladder, kind of. Why merge strikes and raids? Strike missions were originally designed to help players transition from open world content into raid content. They were intended to be quicker to complete than a full raid wing and have slightly less complicated mechanics as well. Over time, our data indicated that strike missions weren't performing as the content bridge that we were hoping for. When we dug into the details of why this was happening, we found a number of reasons that we believed were all contributing factors, and we've been attempting to address these over the past few expansions. When we looked at who was playing strike missions and why, we discovered that inexperienced players had low engagement with strike missions. Furthermore, players who wanted to raid still felt blocked due to difficulty concerns and challenges in finding a group to run with them with. Strike missions simply weren't being viewed as the stepping stone to raids that we originally intended. Since then, we've tried to reframe and clarify how difficulty levels work in our group instance content, across both strike missions and raid game modes. Normal mode should be able to be completed by anyone interested in learning the content, while challenge mode is aimed toward hardcore audience. We also have had some plans, which we'll tease below, that will further clarify the intended difficulty of raids for players. So to touch on that, again, for the new folks that are watching this, strike missions, the normal modes of strike missions are easier than almost every raid. The toughest of the normal mode strike missions might be tougher than the easiest raid bosses. The challenge mode strike missions, those are in a whole nother league. So it might be like, strike missions, raids, and then challenge mode strike missions are way up here. They are extremely challenging, and they are meant to be for people that like that challenge. Okay, I got a picture of Doom on his throne here. Okay, raids, encounters, and wings. As we made plans to improve strike mission engagement, we came to realize that strikes and raids didn't need to be separate game modes at all. I'm sorry, that's kind of that's next they're going to say that Fractal's Dungeons and Dragon Response missions didn't need to be separate at all. Yeah, they're both 10-man instance content. No, they did not need to be. Just like the 5-man stuff didn't need to be separate. They were both squad-based instance content with similar levels of complexity. Raid wings were just longer, intended to have a bit more complexity per encounter than strike missions did. We were also paying some hidden costs by separating them, such as each mode having its own separate reward system that didn't incentivize cross-engagement. Not to mention that it was confusing for new players. Strike missions will be known as raid encounters going forward and will be siblings with the current raid wings within the larger raids game mode. This should make it easier for newer players to understand and approach. Very curious how they're going to assemble this. Raiding in 2026. Combining these game modes offers us the opportunity to do much more than making things simpler to understand. In our first major update for Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity, we'll also be adding the following to raids. A new raid UI with quality of life improvements. See screenshot below. Work in progress. Okay, select raid. Strike mission, Old Lion's Court. It still says strike mission. Spirit Veil, Salvation Pass, and Path of Fire. Okay, Iceberg Saga. All right. Boss event info, and there's some stuff that's checked off. I guess like you've already done normal mode for the week or something like that. Okay, so we've got like a raid window interface. A list of all raid wings and raid encounters will allow you to go directly to the boss that you want to tackle. Directly to the boss we want to tackle? Really? Okay, so why am I surprised by that? All right, in raids, there's an order, right? Like, you can't kill Doom unless you've killed the stuff before Doom in his raid wing. He's the final boss of his raid wing. So that, if reading that as written, that sounds like you can just jump straight to Kadim the Peerless or straight to Doom if you want to. Okay, let's keep reading. The list includes encounter difficulty ratings to inform players. Quickplay mode to assist players in finding a group for easier raid encounters. Okay, so Quickplay mode, so similar to the Quickplay Fractal beta that we're currently doing right now. A merged reward system for strikes and raid wings. A new Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity raid encounter with a challenge mode. A second raid encounter, a challenge mode, and a legendary mode will come in subsequent updates. So again, real quick, just glossing over this for the new players. Challenge mode is very tough. Legendary mode is insane. A very, very, very small portion of the player base, does legendary stuff. It is made for people that are playing at the absolute peak of what can be done with their characters. Like, the DPS are pushing the highest amount of damage their character possibly can while also doing a bunch of crazy mechanics and stuff like that. All right, these features will allow us to better communicate difficulty levels for raids and address the significant quality of life issues that depress engagement. And, as many of you have correctly surmised, the Quick Play mode feature that we debuted in beta form for the Fractal Incursion bonus events will indeed be added to raids next year to help players find groups for the easiest raid encounters. Okay? So I've had a lot of folks ask me recently, like, do I think that they are going to take the Quick Play thing that is currently in Fractals and apply it to other content? And my answer has always been the following. If they do that, they will need to expand upon that system. Because if you go into raids or strikes or higher level fractals, you typically need at least a healer. And then quickness and alacrity are not quite mandatory, but close. So you would need some kind of like role queue. Like, and option one, you queue as a healer and it puts you in the healer slot. Or you queue as quick DPS and it puts you in that slot. Option one, it could be that it doesn't even check your talents or anything. It just trusts you. It just trusts that you're queuing as what you actually are. Option two, it could double check your talents. That would be far more of a pain, programming speaking, but that would be more thorough and would prevent people from queuing as the wrong thing. Like WoW, yeah, like WoW's dungeon system. Okay, keep reading. We're very excited to see how the community engages with our merged raid game mode, and we'll share more details on how this will all work in the coming months. Happy gaming. All right, so my first thought's a greedy one. My first thought is, God dang it, how many of my guides am I going to have to redo? Because, like, for example, if they take, like, the Bone Skinner and make him, like, he's Raid Wing 9 now, I'm going to have to go rename and, like, possibly re-record a whole bunch of videos, and I'm just like, Now, of course, they should not think about my workload when they're making content, but that is the first thing that goes through my head. If they just take all the Iceberg Saga stuff and they're like, okay, this is Raid Wing 9, and I'm just like, oh my freaking god, I gotta go redo all those videos. So, yeah, go ahead and get that out. Now, if they still call them strike missions, I don't have to do that, and that would be wonderful. I like the idea of this. This is good. Definitely, it's truly the devil's in the details type of thing. The execution is where we have an issue. Like, for example, if I click on one of these, if I click Spirit Veil, and then there's 4 bosses there. I assume I just click on a boss and hit enter. Now, if I go in there, is it just, it plops you in front of the boss, no trash mobs, no nothing? Like, I could just go straight to Gorseval if I wanted to, which is the third boss, or Sabatho, which is the final one. And if we do that, okay, let's say I use this interface and I fight Veil Guardian, which is the first boss. Can I just keep going and do the whole raid? Or do I then leave and then queue again to do the next boss? Is it like each queue is one boss? That's another question that I'm curious of. So do you have the choice to do the raid in the classical sense where you just boss trash, boss trash, boss trash? Or do you have to do it with this new system where, you know, you queue for one, leave, queue for one, leave? These are all things I'm currently thinking. And then again, when you queue, if you open this window, you pick a raid, you pick a boss, you hit enter, do you then pick a role? Do you then pick a role? You know, do you queue as, like, you know, healer that provides alacrity, or DPS that provides quickness, things like that? Skip Twisted Castle. No, Twisted Castle is considered one of the boss fights, actually. Twisted Castle gives you boss loot. So Twisted Castle is going to be one of the things on there. I don't think you're going to skip that. Turn the classic dungeon paths into fractals. Keep the open world doors for story mode only. I felt so since fractals reduced. Yeah. Yeah, I've mentioned that too. Like, Dragon response missions are not bad. And dungeons are still functional, but it's just the rewards. Fractals pay you 10 times what those other two pay, but they're all 5-man content. So who's going to do dungeon, unless they specifically need something from them, who is going to do dungeons or DRMs when fractals are also 5-man instance content, but they give you 10 times the reward? So they could do the same thing there with the 5-man instance stuff if they wish to do so. The icons are different for bosses and stuff like Escort and Castle. What do we got? Okay, so what is selected right now? Mithrite Gambit. Let's say Hall of Chains. Key of Auto-Chains. So Hall of Chains has 4 icons. Hall of Chains has, what does it have in it? There's the Soulless Horror, and then the River of Souls event, and then the 3 separate mini-bosses is the third thing, and then Doom himself, right? Let's see, Spirit Veil. So it's like Spirit Veil. Yeah, the second icon for Spirit Veil is a different thing, which is the run. When you're running from, like, the walls and stuff like that.
Mukluk spin, Mukluk so, yeah. Spin, Mukluk spin.
Yeah, so I guess the icon with, like, a skull with horns is just like, this is a boss, and this thing is kind of like an event. And if for any of you who have never done raiding, in Spirit Veil, in between the first and third boss, there's this event where there's this, like, wall of souls slowly moving behind you, and you've just got to keep moving forward. And there's obstacles, there's, like, a gliding bit, there's some stuff you got to kill, but you've got to move forward faster than the wall comes up behind you and reach a certain location before the time runs out. And then you do that, and then you win, and you get the equivalent of boss loot. So Boss 2 is basically just like an obstacle course. And if you've done Boss 1, Boss 2 is much, much easier. Like, you could eat crayons and do that. It's fine. So, yeah, the person in chat was right. It does look like there's different icons separating events from actual bosses in here. But some of them, like I said, Hall of Chains, the third thing, it's marked as an event, but it's actually 3 separate mini-bosses. But, yeah, it is marked there, so that's interesting as well. Strike Mission Old Lion's Court, it's got the little skull thing, Strike Mission's on there. Yeah, it's got a lot of promise. I'm totally down for this. I hope that they still keep the same. This is a little bit of a greedy wish, and I acknowledge that. But for the sake of all the guides from every content creator that have been made up to this point, I hope they still keep the same naming conventions. Like, for example, I don't think they're going to do this, but for example, I would hate it if they're like, okay, well, these strikes are really easy, so these are Raid Wing 1 now, and then what was Raid Wing 1, we'll now call it 2, you know, in just like a shuffle. I don't want to see them do that. Now, I don't think they will, but I'm just expressing that, because, you know, that would basically make it to where anyone searching for, like, Raid Wing 1 guides and, like, all the info for the last 10 years would be just messed up, right? like, you know, things like on the wiki and from Dolphy and Iron Maiden and myself and like every content creator, you know, it would all get like just really, really messed up. So like this, what I'm seeing right here, it's all in the raid interface, but Spirit Vale is still called Spirit Vale. The strike missions still say strike mission there. I hope they keep that. It makes it easier for like if a new player goes in here for the first time and they search Old Lion's Court, they'll still find, you know, the written guides from like Dolphy and Guild Gen on Old Lion's Court. They'll still find video guides from like myself or Teapot and stuff like that on Old Lion's Court. Like, I just hope they still keep the same naming conventions. Now, that's just a personal hope. That's a little greedy. That's not going to affect the average player unless they are, in fact, like Googling for those guides. Would this affect Coalescence and Legendary Armors? I am 99% sure that those would still be available in the same way. So for those that don't know, there's one legendary ring available from raids called Coalescence, and there is the legendary raid armor that is acquired from raids. And I can't imagine that they would like mess that up in any way, shape, or form. Spirit Run is that bad? No, Spirit Run is not bad at all. I often tell people, like, if you beat Veil Guardian, Spirit Run is a freebie. No, Spirit Run is not bad at all. I was simply trying to describe things in a way that people who have never done these raids would understand them. Picture of Old Lion's Court. Let's see. Mug, they don't even have the raid wings organized in the aerodrome correctly. You'll be fine. Yeah. What are the doors on that wall? It's like from west to east. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8 or something like that. I haven't looked in a while, but yeah, there's like one of them that's for some reason out of order, and it's been that way for like 5 years. I seem to remember a vid where a lot of people kept dying on that jumping stuff. Yeah, it happens from time. I mean, dude, take any encounter in the game, take any vista in the game, people's died there for sure. Yeah, this seems pretty cool. Based on what I see, I like it. My biggest question is if you queue for a raid wing and you queue for just like the first boss, do you leave after that? Like a strike mission, you go in, kill one boss, get out. Are they going to keep it like that? Or is it going to be you go in, do that boss, and then you can leave or continue on if you want to? And follow-up question, after you choose raid, choose boss, and hit enter, do you choose a role? Because what you wouldn't want, like an example of a common problem that could happen, is the most common role that people play is DPS. So if you go into a raid and it's just yeet 10 people together, and then you've just got 10 DPS, well, you might struggle. Now, they did say the easier raids. For example, in my opinion, the easiest raid boss in the game is Cairn, the first boss of Raid Wing 4. Is the first get to the point that I ever made. If people knew the mechanics, you could totally do that without a healer, but a healer makes it a whole lot easier, for sure. Yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's all I got to say on this. So with that, if you guys have any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns on this topic, put it in the comment section down below. I am curious to see what y'all think about it. I've already explained, I said totally, I'm a freaking Ninja Turtle now, cowabunga. I have already explained my thoughts and the questions that enter my mind when I look at this. If you've got any more good ones, to put them down below, and I look forward to reading them. And I'll fight you in the comment section.